Good evening, crafting friends. I'm Doreen DeCebus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stamping Sunday. And it is August, so we have a new month and a new stamp set. So let's get started. Let me just move this one light a little bit so it's not making that glow. All right, so this month we are going to be using the fabulous Prairie Grass Stamp Set. It has these beautiful grassy images and some really beautiful sentiments. Sometimes life is just hard, so very sorry. My shoulder is yours. You're not alone. I'm here for you. Sending the healing power of love. Now this stamp set is currently not available. Unfortunately, it's sold out, but it will be available the week of August 11th. So if you haven't purchased it yet, wait until that week and it should be available. Hi Roz, thanks for joining me tonight. So tonight I am going to use every single stamp in the set, and we're going to make some sympathy cards, or some cards just to support a loved one. This month we are going to be using the Stamps on Designer Series paper. I'm going to be showing you some different ways we can add a pop of color to a card with these stamps. And of course at the end of the month we will be doing some fun folds. So let's get started. This is a cling stamp set that I really love because I love stamping with rubber stamps. So for our first card, we're going to need a piece of basic white thick cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5. And then we're going to need a piece of basic white cardstock that measures 3 3/4 by 5. And that's it for this first card. And this is what the first card looks like. So we're just going to be using some Memento black ink and just stamping on the front and on the inside. All right, let's get started with this one. All right, so I'm going to start by just folding my thick basic white cardstock in half. I always, when I cut my paper, I score it because it just makes the folding a lot easier. All right, so now on my paper, I am going to take that large stamp. I had to put it on my largest block to fit the height of it. So when I have a big stamp like this, I usually turn it over and stamp it up. I can make sure everything is inked well. And then I'm going to turn it over. I want this to be more on the side. I'm going to place it down and then press with both hands to make sure I'm getting some even coverage. There we go. It's beautiful. Got a little mark up there. I didn't realize I had some ink there, but it just looks like a piece of the prairie grass, so I'm okay with that. Let me just set that aside. And then I'm going to take my So Starry. It just says So Very Sorry, and I'm going to stamp that in Memento black as well. There we go. And then on the inside, I'm going to stamp Sending the Healing Power of Love. Oops, the inside of the card. I haven't put it on yet. There we go. Let's close that ink pad so we don't get any ink where it shouldn't be. And then I am going to take some dimensionals to attach this to the front of my card. Welcome, Lynn. Thanks for joining me tonight. It was a gorgeous day in my area. My husband and I actually went to Vermont. over to Rockingham, and we went to the Vermont Country Store. It's a really fun place to go. You find things there that seriously you would not find anywhere. And things that, you know, kitchen tools and stuff that your grandmother probably used. So it's just a really fun place. Okay, and there we have card number 1. So simple, so easy. Okay, we're going to set that aside, and let's go to card number 2. And this card I'm going to change up a couple of things from how I made my sample. So this is my sample. I'm going to actually add another piece of black behind this just to give it a little more contrast. And on the inside, once I made this and opened it, the white was like, whoa, Nelly. So I actually cut a piece of vanilla because I think the vanilla won't be as stark on the inside of this card. Still got my white if I don't like it. Just set that aside. So what I have is a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 crumb cake cardstock. And I'm just going to fold that and burnish the edge. And then I'm going to set this aside. We'll be stamping that in a minute. And we're going to be stamping that in a minute, and I'll go over all of those measurements. And let's move this out of the way. All right, so I am going to take this piece of cardstock, and I'm going to go off camera because I don't want to get water everywhere here, but I'm just taking my spray bottle, and I am just spritzing some water onto that piece of cardstock because what I want to do is crumple it. And the water just helps it crumple a little easier. I want to add some texture to this card. And you don't have to have an embossing folder to add texture. Just a little bit of water and some crumpling will do that for you. So I can open it up. There's even a little tear on it. That's perfect. And I'm going to flatten it out. Just to make it a little easier to put on my cardstock. Okay, I think I'll put the little tear at the bottom. So this is what it looks. All rumpled, crumpled. And I have here a piece of 4 1/8 and by 5 3/8 piece of basic black cardstock. And I'm going to put this on. Even though it's just 1/4 of an inch difference, I mean, 1/8 of an inch difference. When I crumple it, it makes it a little smaller. So now I'm just going to put my adhesive on. I'm going to go all the way around because I don't want this to bobble a bit. So I am going to put this on my cardstock. There we go. And then I'm going to add this to the front of the card. There we go. Okay, there's the front of our card, all good and done. Now for the rest of our cardstock. This piece of very vanilla cardstock measures 4 by 5 1/4, and on it I am going to stamp in black this stamp. I'm going to make sure it's all inked up. This is for the inside of my card, and I'm just going to stamp this right over by the edge. There we go. And then for the inside of the card, I am going to stamp "My shoulder is yours." I love this saying. This is one of my favorites in this set. And I'm just stamping it right on the inside. And then I am going to add some adhesive, and this is going to go on the inside of the card. If you have this stamp set and you want to stamp along with me, you certainly can. Just email me or message me on Facebook, and I will send you the dimensions of the cardstock and paper ahead of time. So if you have this set and you want to do that, just let me know. So now I have a piece that measures 4 by, let me see, 1 3/4 that I'm just going to center this on. And then I'm going to put it on a piece of basic black that is 2 by 4 1/8. One of the things I really like about Simply Stamping Sunday is that in a short amount of time, we can actually make 3 cards because we're not using all of the extra stuff. And we can still have some pretty beautiful cards. Now this I am going to use dimensionals to put on the front of my card. And then we just have to do our sentiment. Hi Rosalind, thanks for joining. Get all of the backings off of those dimensionals. And then I'm going to put this off towards the left of the card. And then all we have to do is our sentiment. So I have 2 scraps of paper, just from when we were doing all the cutting. So I am going to stamp the front. I'm going to use "You're Not Alone, I'm Here For You." We'll get that all inked up. I'm going to stamp it close to the edge, because I'm going to just cut this. There we go. The other thing I like about this set is that it can make some really nice looking masculine cards. So we'll be doing some of that next week. Okay, I think I've got that more even. And I am just going to put a little bit of adhesive on this, and then I'm going to just attach the sentiment to the strip of black cardstock. And again, making sure that I'm cutting that pretty straight. All right, I'm going to use some adhesive on this end because it's going to go right across here. And then I've got to add some dimensionals on this end. And I'm going to double up because the stamped image, the focal point of our card, is already on dimensionals. So I am just going to go right down here, add that, and there's our second card. And what do you think? I really think I like the very vanilla on the inside than the white. I think the white is just too stark. All right. Now let's go to our third and final card, and we're going to add a little color to this one. So we're not doing everything in black tonight. This next card is going to have some Old Olive on it. And this is what this card looks like. And it says on the front, sometimes life is just hard. Hi, Bonnie. Nice to see you. And then we have some on the inside. So we're going to be using that grass. So let me put that aside. So for paper, again, I have a piece that measures 5.5 by 8.5. It's thick, basic white cardstock. So I'm just folding that in half. I'm going to be using the grass on this one. And I'm only going to be stamping the grass on the inside of the card. So let's just do that so we can get it done. Just making sure it's all inked up. And there we go. That's what it looks like in the inside. And I can set that aside while we make the rest of the card. So I have here a scrap that was saved from cutting my cardstock and a scrap of the Old Olive. So I have basic white and Old Olive. And then I have a piece of Old Olive that measures 4 1/4 by 3. I have a piece of basic white that measures 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. And another piece of basic white that measures 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. I'm going to be stamping on this, and I'm going to be stamping on that. So I'm going to set those two aside. Just going to put a little scrap paper out because I am going to be going off the paper a little bit, and I just don't want to have the green ink get on my card pieces or have it get on the glass where it just makes a mess. So I'm making sure that I don't have any of my corners inked up, and I'm going to try to get this off of the paper. Not quite, so now I'll try to get all of them on the paper. And I'm going to be overlapping. There we go. I just filled my, re-inked my Old Olive. So it's really dark. I'm going a little bit at different heights. And that's what it looks like. If I want, I can fill in some of that green by just inking the bottom of my stamp. And that's going to make it look more even. Okay, so that's what I have. There we go. Oops, I'm going to leave that out because I still need to stamp the greeting. So I'm going to take this piece of paper. It's way too big, but I'm going to be stamping Sometimes Life is Just Hard. So I'm going to ink that up, and I'm going to stamp it right at the bottom of this piece. Now what I'm going to do, just because this is a bigger piece, take out my paper cutter, and I'm just going to trim it. There we go. It's about 3/4 of an inch, a little less. And I'm going to take that piece, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did on my other card. Just giving a little bit of color to the sentiment. So I'm going to put this right at the end, get that dimensional backing out of the way. And then just use my paper snips to cut that. And then we're going to use some dimensionals to pop it up. And we're going to use dimensionals. Well, let's get this on first. We're going to use the dimensionals in a couple of different ways. So I'm going to add this. This is the same length. So we're just going to be seeing color at the top and the bottom. I can put this down here like that, or I can have it up here at the top. I think I like it at the top. So I am going to put this on the other piece of paper, the piece of white, basic white cardstock, and I'm going to center this so it has a really nice, about 1/4 of an inch border. And I am going to be putting dimensionals on this. There we go. Get those off. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for joining. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this set this month. So I'm going to put this at the top, a little, not centered, but close enough. And then I'm going to be putting some dimensionals on the back to pop this up as well. So we'll take those off, and we're going to have a fast first Sunday. There we go. Come back to our card base, and we're going to center this on the front. And that, can you believe it, is our third card. I love it. I love how deep and lush it looks at the bottom. Okay, let me get some of this out of the way so I can show you all 3 cards that we made tonight. So we started with this so very sorry sympathy card, sending the healing power of love. Then we created this with a little shabby chic by crumpling that. This set is the Prairie Grass Barbara. So this one says, "You're not alone. I'm here for you. My shoulder is yours." And then our final one says, "Sometimes life is just hard." So these 3 cards use every single stamp that's in the set. Next week, we're going to be using some of the Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper. I'll just give you a little sneak peek at how beautifully this stamps on Designer Series paper. So it's going to be, we're going to make some really beautiful cards next weekend. All right, so thanks for joining me. I'll be back Friday night for another edition of Fun Fold Friday. Remember, the vote is still open for the 4 sets for Friday night. And I will be back, of course, next Sunday for week 2 of the Prairie Grass Stamp Set. Have a great week, everyone. I'll see you Friday night. Bye-bye.